Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Medeek Floor plugin. My name is Nathaniel P. Wilkerson, and today I wanted to explain how the subtract feature works in the Floor plugin. So it is a little different from the other plugins, and I've actually made it a little bit more granular. And so I think it's worth having yet another tutorial video explaining some of those details. So first of all, let's go ahead and jump into the global settings here. And the first thing you're going to notice here on your top right corner under advanced options, you're going to have subtractive geometry, but you're also going to have subtractive geometry emphasis joists. So basically I've kind of split this into two different parameters here. So there is a little bit more granularity of splitting this apart in the functionality. But if you mouse over the tooltips now, you'll notice that normally, like with the other extensions, you have just the subtract keyword. But with this one, you have now the subtract keyword, of course, for general subtractions. And when I talk about subtractions, I mean Boolean subtractions. So basically, you use a solid to cut away pieces of the assembly, right? So let's go mouse over that again. So you have subtract, subtract sheath, subtract gypsum, and subtract frame. So we'll explain a little bit more about each one of those. And then here under the second one, you have subtract underscore joist, right? So that is the keyword that needs to be in the instance name to use that as a subtraction solid against the assembly. Okay, so we've turned both of these on. Let's go ahead and just shut that. And then what I've done is I've gone ahead and just kind of set things up so you don't have to take a lot of time kind of getting things set up for you guys. So I've just drawn a simple floor assembly with the floor plugin, and then I've created a couple solids, and I've made them, or I've changed the materials here just so they're transparent, and I've color coded them a little bit so you can see, just so you can see through them, right? Okay, so you'll notice, and I haven't put these inside the assembly yet, so they're outside the assembly, but we'll go ahead and drop them in it. The first one here, you'll notice that the instance name is subtract and then just number 1. I mean, it could be just the word subtract, or it could be subtract underscore or some big long string or whatever. Bottom line is the keyword just needs to have the word subtract in it, right? And of course you could have subtract underscore sheath, subtract underscore joist, but this one we're just going to test the general subtraction. And notice I put it also on this special layer I created. I just call it whatever, subtraction underscore test layer. You don't have to put out any specific tag or layer. You can place these anywhere. You can leave them actually on the default layer, or you can put them on a separate layer. I like to put them on a separate layer though, because by doing that, then I can, once I'm kind of got everything done, I can just turn that layer visibility off or tag off, and then that kind of just goes away. All right, so I've gone ahead and created this one, and then I've created this other little solid. And again, remember, these are solids, they're groups, and right up here it'll say solid group. So in order for this to work, you got to make sure that the group is solid or recognized as a solid by SketchUp, right? Because it's doing a Boolean subtraction. So notice this one is subtract underscore joist underscore GLB1, which stands for glue MB1. So I've drawn this basically in the shape that I want to put a beam in there, and you'll see why here in a second. But you'll also notice that this keyword is subtract underscore joist, and the rest of this after it, this is arbitrary. It doesn't have to be that, but I just put that there for my own information. Okay, so for these to actually work, first of all, of course, you have to turn the parameters on in the global settings, but second of all, you need to actually put these in the assembly themselves. So we're going to select both of these, and we're going to go cut, and then we're going to jump inside the floor assembly, and then we're just going to paste in place. Okay, so we've already got them all positioned. Well, you can move them around, do whatever you need to do. But now you'll notice that when we select this, they are now part of the floor assembly group, right? They're inside the group. And by naming, using our naming convention, well, essentially having that subtract keyword in the instance name, that will retain these whenever you regen the model, or regen the assembly, sorry. So let's go ahead and we're going to regen this and see what happens. Give it a second, it'll do its thing. And the first thing you notice is it cut away the members or the joists as we would expect. Now notice I have the sheathing turned off, I think. Let me see if we can turn that on. Sorry, I've got too many layers here as usual. Let's turn that on. Okay. Yeah, and I had it turned off just because so you could see all the joists. But you can see first off that the general subtract keyword, subtracted away everything, right? It subtracted away the joists, subtracted away the sheathing. It essentially cuts a hole through everything, all of the geometry of the floor. Now, you'll notice that this one did not. It did not cut the rim joists. It did not cut the sheathing. It only cut the joists. And then the other thing you'll notice right off the bat is that this one allowed us to automatically detect the ends of these joists and throw a hanger on it, what I call the mid hangers. Whereas this one, there is no hangers drawn. Okay, so what's happening is and that's why it's separated into two different parameters here. The subtract joist feature actually happens, or does the Boolean subtraction against the joists and only the joists before it draws the advanced options. So what happens is before the hangers are even drawn, it's already taken this chunk out of all these eye joists. And so then when it goes to look at the eye joists and look for the ends of the eye joists, it's finding, hey, we've got two eye joists here instead of one. And so now it will say, well, I want to put a hanger on the ends of these. And so that is why I have this separated into two different features. So if you just need to cut a hole and you don't want to put hangers, yeah, you would just use a general subtract. Or if you want to cut the sheathing, just the sheathing, nothing else, then you would subtract sheath, use the subtract sheath, etc. But in this case, I wanted to put hangers here. Okay, so now let's turn that sheathing actually back off for just a second, and I'm going to demonstrate something here. Okay, so now first things first. You've got these solids here now showing, right? But we don't want to have those on all the time because that's really not part of our model. So that's why I put them on a separate layer. And now I turn the layer off, and they go away. I mean, they're still there, but the visibility is gone, right? Okay, so now I wanted to pop a glulam beam in here. So I have been thinking about adding a glulam beam or beam module to the actual floor plugin itself, but at the same time I also realized I've got the beam module. It's already part of the wall plugin, and it's a standalone beam module. And so actually I think we can get away with just using that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead first. So we're going to draw a little reference line here. I'm going to drop, I just want to have this for going right there in the center. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and turn off my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and use this beam tool. So I've already gone ahead and selected a beam, just a regular 5.5 by 10.5 glulam beam. I'll go ahead and put the first point right here. Now you notice we have it oriented top. So I'm going to hit the down arrow key, and that will orient it toward the bottom, and then we'll just stretch out across here if I can get my mouse to work, and put that right there. Okay, so this beam here, yeah, it's just a beam assembly from the wall plugin, and it's not actually part of the, so this is the floor plugin assembly, and this is the beam. Two completely separate groups or assemblies, but they, so again, it's not inside of the floor assembly, it's outside of the floor assembly, but they are interacting and essentially working as one assembly, in a sense. All right, let's go ahead and put our sheathing back on, just so we have that fully drawn up here. And if I can find my sheathing again, there it is. All right, and you'll note that there we go. There we have a beam with the hangers, and that would be a situation where you'd want those hangers to be drawn. So that is the purpose of having that subtract underscore joist feature. So it will draw the hangers as well as cut the joist. All right, you guys, if you have any questions on subtraction and how it all works, I'm always here. But again, I really haven't covered all the other subtraction keywords, but they're very similar. I think they're fairly self-explanatory, really. Subtract underscore gypsum takes cuts holes in the gypsum. The sheath cuts subtract underscore sheath cuts holes in the sheathing, and subtract underscore frame will specifically cut the framing. I think it'll also cut the rim joist as well as the joist, but it will not cut anything else. But it will essentially do the same thing as subtract underscore joist, but it runs after the advanced option, so it will be similar to this hole we cut here where there are no hangers positioned after. All right, we'll talk to you guys later and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.